Hi everyone. Today we're going to start talking about hypothesis testing, and you can do hypothesis testing for the obvious things like science, but also social science. For example, are this group of students more likely to be reading on grade level than this other group of students? And for social sciences, just about anything. But before you can do a hypothesis test, you have to be able to identify what it is that you are claiming and be able to write what we're going to be calling the null and the alternative. So we're going to start out and talk about the claim, and you can write a claim about a mean or a proportion or a standard deviation. So if we use a mean, you'll use mu. If you use a proportion, you'll use a p. It's really like a rho, but it's a cursive p. Or you can use a standard deviation, and we'll use a sigma. And so you'll write your claim in symbols. So if we start out, the average college student takes more than 140 hours. That would be a mean. More than 140 hours. The trip to Durham takes at least 145 minutes to drive. At least would be greater than or equal to 145. So we're just writing the claim to begin with. The standard deviation is like equal to. Standard deviation is 0.5 inches. So we're just writing the claims. Ray claims the mean price is less than $40,000. The mean is less than, I'm just going to put 40K because I don't have room for 40,000. And the mayor claim says a majority of residents favor a new bill. Majority is like a proportion, so we're going to say P. And if you think about a majority, the majority means like more than half. Okay, so more than half, the proportion is over 50%. So we just wrote the claims. Okay, and if you look at your sheet that I gave you online or wherever, it's the sheet that says do not lose this sheet. The next thing we take is the claim, and we decide if it's going to be the null or the alternative. If our claim contains a statement of equality, an equal sign, a less than or equal, or a greater than or equal, it will be the null hypothesis that we're going to test against. If the claim does not have an equal sign, it will be the alternative, the statement that will be true if the null is not true. Okay. So, looking at the first statement, mu is greater than 140. It does not have equality, so it becomes our alternative. Mu is greater than 140. So I'm going to go through the first time and just decide if it's the null or the alternative, and then we'll come back and do the next step. Greater than or equal to 145. Since it has equality, that will be our null. Greater than or equal to 145. Equal to 0.5, that would be a statement for a null. Less than 40,000, that would be an alternative. Proportion greater than 50, that would be an alternative. Okay, to write your other statement, once you get your null or your alternative there, your other statement is the statement that is the exact opposite of that statement. So, for example, the average college student takes more than 140 hours. You either take more than 140 hours or you don't. The opposite of more than 140 hours would be less than or equal to 140 hours. It either takes 145 minutes or more to drive to Durham, or the opposite of that would be less than 145 minutes. Okay, either the standard deviation of a rainbow trout is a ½ inch, or the opposite of equal to is not equal to. Not equal to. The opposite of less than $40,000 would be 40,000 or more. 40,000 or more. And the opposite of a majority, meaning more than 50%, would be 50% or less. Okay, so now that we have done that, I have some here at the bottom that I want you to try. So I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to let y'all try these. Okay, so y'all take a couple minutes, try these. I'm going to put the answers up here. We're going to talk through the answers together, and then I'm going to tell you one other little crazy kind of quirky thing about nulls. Okay, so y'all work these, and then stop your video, work them, and then turn your video back on, and then check your answers, and we'll kind of talk through them together. Okay, just sort of talking through these. At most, 18 hours would be less than or equal to 18 hours. Since that's an equal sign, it's your null. The opposite of that would be greater than 18 hours. Changed means it's not 40% anymore. So not equal, that would be your alternative. The opposite of not equaling 40% would mean that it's still 40%. Number 3, the standard deviation is 4.2. That is your null. The opposite of equaling 4.2 is not 4.2. Number 4, it's more than $40,000. I think Sarah might be right. More than 40, that's your alternative because there's no equal sign there. So the opposite of more than 40 is less than or equal to 40. AARP says a majority, and remember, majority is a proportion, and it means more than 50%. So we have more than 50%. That's an alternative, and the opposite of more than 50% is 50% or less. Okay, all of that is cool and all. That is the exact way you write a null. That is the exact way that you write an alternative. Okay. Having said that, there is a quirky little thing that people have invented, not because it's right, not because it's statistically sound, but because it makes programming easier. And they go through, and everywhere that it has a null, they go through and they'll go equals 18, equals 40, equals 0.5. Like the mean price of a mean SUV is more than $40,000, they would make their null equal $40,000. That's just stupid math. It doesn't mean that the opposite of greater than 40 means equal to 40. Or up here at the top, the average college student takes more than $140,000, they would make their null equal to 100. Or the trip to Durham takes at least 145 minutes to drive. They would make their null equal to 145 minutes to drive. Okay, if you take another stats class, you will see that. That doesn't mean that what I'm doing is wrong. That doesn't mean that what they're doing is wrong. It means that what I'm doing is statistically sound. It is actual statistics basics, and what they are doing is easier for programming. So what I would encourage you to do is write it exactly like I do the first time, because it makes more sense. Then when you have to program it in RStudio or some other programming language, then go back underneath it and go, okay, I'm making this equal to, because it's easier to test against. And that's why they do it with the equal to sign. You will see all kinds of textbooks that have like equal, 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 and it'll go, why? Why are they doing equal to? That's why they're doing equal to. Okay. All right. Also, if you check, like, if you put this problem in online, you know, I promise that it'll have like equal to, but they won't tell you why. Okay, I hope that makes really good sense, and we will move on to the next step of hypothesis testing next. Okay, we are rolling on.